I was at work today, did you not?
Well, welcome to the August 2nd, 2023 Economic Development Commission meeting. And we're going to, we'll do the call of order. I think, so we've got Bob's not here, Dave's not here. Anyone else not here? Of course, how would we hear them if they're not here? There we go. We're going to go right into the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Frank Darcello, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
That shows 2 roll calls here. I'm not sure why. Everybody have a chance to look at the approval of the minutes from the May 3rd meeting. Any questions? Any abstaining?
Abstain.
Okay, get a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All not in favor? That passes. We're going to move the agenda around a little bit. We're going to go right into the Goal Line Bus Rapid Transit guest presentation so that we can get you guys going right away with this beautiful evening and get over to the concert. So you have the floor.
Okay. Chair Commissioners, thank you very much. My name is Morgan Abbott. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for Gold Line. We are an integrated project office. I'm actually employed by Washington County, but we are a cohesive office that includes staff from MnDOT, Washington County, and the Met Council. So this morning, I don't know, are you running the PowerPoint?
The mouse is up there.
Oh, right here, thanks. So I'm joined tonight with my colleague Liz Jones. I'll call her up here about halfway through the presentation. We'll switch the mic. So just an overview of the project. It is approximately 10-mile frequent all-day service bus line that will operate primarily in bus-only lanes. The budget for the project is $505.3 million. We are constructing 16 new stations. We will be having 17 BRT branded 60-foot buses, 12 of which will be diesel and 5 will be electric. We are doing some upgrades to the existing East Metro Garage and just north of St. Paul to accommodate our electric buses and our additional fleet. There will be 3 surface park and rides and 1 parking structure. So if you look at the map, you can see the little P's. Those indicate where the parking rides are located. The one at the Wood Lane station is the 3-story structure in Woodbury. We are constructing 8 grade separated BRT crossings, including the Bielenberg Bridge, which is looking like a bridge more and more every day. So our schedule is, so we started this project in the project development phase in January of 2018. We are currently about halfway through construction with substantial completion happening fall of 2024, and then the buses will start operation the first half of 2025. So I have a couple slides of construction photos to show you. So that you'll see a map on the bottom part of the slide that indicates, that blue star indicates where we're located on the guideway. So this is on the north side of 94. You can see that the picture on the left, you can see that the Bielenberg Bridge coming to formation, and the picture on the right is that guideway cutting across that parcel where it breaks off from the 4th Street and heads south to the Helmo station. This is on the Woodbury side of the Bielenberg Bridge. This is the forms going up and then a lot of utility work. We have a lot of utility work going on out here right now. And then the last slide of pictures is the Bielenberg Bridge, the I-beams going in. We had overnight I-94 closures with that, so that was a challenge, but we did it. It was successful. We're really happy with how it turned out and how smooth it actually went. This is a map that shows you where our main construction areas are this year. Everything in orange is under construction right now. The downtown area, we do have 2 stations under construction, 6th in Minnesota, 5th in Cedar. Rice Park is actually going to start in about 2 weeks. Union Depot, Sibley, and Wakuta will start later this fall. So here is a very detailed map of all the construction that's happening in Oakdale and Woodbury and Landfall. There's a lot going on. There is a lot happening that will be finished this year. There will be items along 4th Street that we have a lot of utility work going on this year to relocate utilities to get out of our way. So that will really depend on when we can start the reconstruction of the 4th Street Bridge over 694. So right now it's in our schedule for next spring, but if utilities move faster than we anticipate, that work might actually get started later this year. So we will keep you up to date on that.
Is it possible to work on that over the winter?
Yeah, it is if the utilities get out of the way. So demo would then be over the winter and then start forming it. So we did similar, we started the Bielenberg Bridge last fall, and we started constructing all the piers over the winter. So we have a very active and busy public involvement team. So we've had resident meetings, open houses, business outreach, mailers, local flyers, door knocking. We're on social media. We do have a dedicated construction hotline that is answered by our staff during normal business hours. It does go to voicemail after hours, and then it's answered the next business day. So it's the people who are answering that phone are knowledgeable about the project. They can answer questions on the spot. We also have an email address, and we have a couple websites you can go to. We have our main construction website, but then we have an interactive map where we update where closures are and what's happening. There's also live feed of some of those structures going up. There's cameras on the Bielenberg Bridge, and then Etna Station, Ruth, and then, is there a 4th one? There's a 4th one, right? Sorry. So there is I believe there's 4 cameras out there. So in their time lapse, so you can go through and see the construction during this whole season sped right up, so you can see all the work we've been doing. So with that, I'll hand it over to Liz, and she will start talking more in depth about our public involvement and then transit-oriented development.
Morgan. Hi, everybody. My name is Liz Jones. I'm the Outreach and Engagement Lead for the Gold Line Project. Morgan kind of started our public involvement and outreach methodology that we use. I'll talk a little bit more about that, and then also get into some of Metro Transit's transit-oriented development information. So I did just want to point out on this same slide here, you'll notice there's a portion of translated text. So when we go out, kind of depending on the neighborhoods that we're in, we'll have translated materials, and sometimes we will have folks who speak other languages. Coming up here, we're working on an event with Landfall. We know there's a lot of folks who speak Spanish in Landfall, so we'll have materials and folks who speak Spanish at that event as well. This next slide just shows our construction weekly updates. So I think Morgan mentioned those, but we do send out weekly construction updates, and those, that's kind of live information on what is going on for the week, and also gives a little bit look ahead of what's coming up. So if you are interested and aren't on that list, I'd highly encourage you to sign up. This slide just kind of shows how folks can sign up and where that is on our website. We do also offer a direct mail piece for folks who maybe aren't digitally connected or prefer the information in direct mail, so we can do that as well. This slide here just kind of has a compilation of some of our communications and maps that we put together. So we do a lot of mailers and individualized maps and access maps for businesses. We do a lot of door knocking and visiting residents and businesses at their storefront, letting them know what closures or detours are coming up, and create kind of both maps for pedestrian and detours for the entire area, and then as business needs are individually, we create individual maps for those folks as well. Like Morgan mentioned, with the construction of the bridge over 94, the Bielenberg Bridge, we did shut down 94, so that was a bigger closure. So we typically do kind of media outreach. We always do MnDOT, coordinate with MnDOT if we have a larger closure like this I-94 major freeway. So we've already had 2 closures. We will have another one before the end of the year here, but it's all gone smoothly, but a lot of folks get alerted to that through the news media as well. So just wanted to point that out. Typically news media is just for the larger closure like us on I-94. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about Metro Transit's Development Trends Along Transit report. So this is an annual report that Metro Transit conducts on an annual basis. So the data in this report that came out in 2022 kind of has full information starting from 2009 through 2021, and it really focuses on high-frequency transit and development. So really the LRT, light rail transit, and then BRT, bus rapid transit. They do also look at some high-frequency local service as well. But the primary focus would be the existing blue and green line, both of those extensions that are underway. Of course, Gold Line, Orange Line, ABC, and D Line in this most recent report. So it looks at kind of separate both what developments are already permitted and then what are they actually aware of that's in the planning stages. And these developments include a mixture, kind of breakdown of what's residential, what's commercial, public, institutional, industrial, and mixed use. And I do have the link to the full report in this, so hopefully that works in your packet as well. This is a lot of information, and I'll caveat that Metro Transit does have a TOD office, so a transit-oriented development office that does conduct this research every year and ongoing within Metro Transit. But I did just want to highlight these 2 columns. So it's 2009 to 2021, the high-frequency transit statistics for these developments, permitted and planned development. You can see kind of $13.7 billion in development has been permitted along high-frequency transit since 2009. 2009 would be when the Green Line opened, so that's kind of why the 2009 start date. And if you're doing the math like I initially did, those numbers don't equal 13.7 billion. It's because a few of those are by each other, so it looks at a half a mile radius from each station on what the development investment is in that half mile. 44,600 multifamily units have been permitted near high-frequency transit, and that's actually 40% of the multifamily units in the region, as well as 36% of the regional development along high-frequency transit, and 41% of that has been multifamily, 42% has been commercial, 31% has been public and institutional, and then 5% has been industrial. There is some other, again, they like to break it down between what is actually permitted and what is still in the planning phases. So still $9.7 billion in development that's planned along high-frequency transit. And then in these categories, it does break down what's near the LRT stations and then what's near the BRT stations as well. So just a snapshot of some data. And again, I would really encourage you to comb through the full report. There's a lot of interesting information. I will just highlight a little bit more. So in that report does also break down, so it looks kind of at that broad picture like I just talked about of all of the BRT and LRT lines, and then it also does break down by line. So for Gold Line specifically, this data would be between 2018 and 2021, looking at a total between both permitted and planned development, $1.68 billion. And you can see the breakdown between residential, commercial, public, institutional, industrial, and mixed use development investments. This map is kind of hard to see, but it really just shows, and this doesn't show the planned developments. This one just focuses on what is actually permitted to date. So it breaks down the gold as residential, the red as commercial, the blue would be that public institutional, and then there's a few pink in that industrial area, but not much, not a whole lot of pink. And I will offer, again, that report. I am, like I said, Metro Transit has a full TOD office, so if any of you are interested in getting any of the weeds of that, we could probably coordinate conversations or presentations with those folks if that would be of interest as well. But other than that, that is all we had for the Gold Line. And my contact information is on here, as well as our project director, in case you ever want to reach out or have any questions for us.
What do we have for questions?
The construction that's going on like in Spaghetti Junction, part of this, or is that just something different?
Do you know what that is?
On
That's not us.
94?
Well, down to Mounds Boulevard, I think is part of the Gold Line, right?
Yep, so we have, Mounds right now, we do have some work on Mounds and Hudson on the east side there. I think there's some other city working projects kind of northern in St. Paul as well, but our work is really kind of focused along that I-94 corridor. Yep, so there are some impacts to the Mounds exit right now, closures on Hudson Road on the east side.
We also have a lane shut down. They're building the retaining wall,
Yeah.
so we're moving that retaining wall a little closer to the 94. So that's our project, yes.
Yep, and then downtown, it's mostly just kind of some lane impacts. We don't have any full downtown closures. And probably looking for more Oakdale. I know you've probably noticed a lot of utility work around 4th Street. So that has been just utilities at this point, and like Morgan mentioned, once we get into the bridge work, that could be sometime between later this year or early next year. Definitely we'll have more opportunities to connect in Oakdale and share that information.
Well, how much parking is there going to be, do you think, or do you know, at the Helmo station?
I don't know off the top of my head
Okay.
the number of stalls that are going to be there. We can get that.
I think it's 105. It's 105 or 108. It's
How
right
many,
around
I'm
that.
sorry, how many?
It's around 105
Is that just surface parking?
surface. Yep.
Is it gated or anything?
It is not gated. No, we'll have 2 surface park and rides and then a parking structure park and ride in Woodbury at the end of the line. So we have,
How big is the Woodbury structure, car-wise?
Over 500.
yep, so it's 4 levels. 3 levels?
Do you need to pay to park at those places?
Nope.
Nice. Okay. Do you know so once it's up and running, is it you've got, what, 17 buses total with that? You're not going to be running all 17 at one time, so like 3 or 4 during the morning, or?
It's frequent all-day service, so what you're thinking of is express service.
Yeah,
So we'll be running approximately 9, I believe is the number, and then we have spares, just in case they need an oil change or they need service. We've got extra to rotate in and to spread out the miles and the use of the fleet. So, and it's frequent all-day service. So that's part of, construction's gonna be done next fall of 2024. So, so over the winter and the spring, what we're doing is testing. So that's when we'll know, that's where we're training our drivers and we're testing for the schedule, so we know how frequent that service is gonna be.
And you probably noticed that we have mostly diesel fleet. We do have some electric. Metro Transit does have electric feed. There's still some bugs that are being figured out. Really, the issue is operating electric in our cold weather climate. So Metro Transit is committed to having a fully electric fleet over time. They have some other government grant funding to convert all the buses, but we wanted to start with what we could. And then the idea would be as Metro Transit transitions, there's potential to transition other Gold Line buses
So how
as
are you
well.
doing on drivers? I understand there's quite a shortage of drivers.
Actually, we are recently are at a surplus now for bus drivers, so we're starting to add back a lot of service, which is really great news. There is still a bit of a shortage for rail operators for the light rail trains, but for bus drivers, we do have the drivers that we need now, and more service is being added.
The buses are gonna run, what's the schedule again? I know you,
Planning for every probably 10 to 15 minutes. As we get closer and again, seeing with how operators go and what our service plan looks like, there is a chance it could be less frequent in non-peak hours, but really the target is 10 to 15-minute
is
service.
that all 24 hours? No,
So it's approximately 6 a.m. to midnight.
okay.
What if there's a big concert downtown St. Paul and it runs past midnight, like they do in Minneapolis? Is it a possibility to extend the hours on that, maybe? I
That's a
need you to
good-
go out on a limb for me right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. That would probably be, a Metro Transit case-by-case basis, but as you know, that it has been done on the light rail trains, and so it's definitely something that Metro Transit looks at. But in terms of what we have at this point, before our service plans are done, we can't say for sure.
Right.
What's the service life of a bus? I'm just curious.
So it depends how long the route is. It
yeah.
There's a lot of, it depends, but there is a active service life, and I'm not sure how many miles or how many hours in service that is per bus.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
There's a lot of preventive maintenance that goes in. So I can find out and get back to you. Operations knows that off the top
I
of
was
their
just
head.
curious.
Yeah.
Because that does lead to the next question is how often do they break down while people are on it?
I mean, we have a really great maintenance staff and the buses are cared for very well to extend the service life. I haven't heard very rare instances of, a bus breaking down or having an issue. Even in bad weather, there's definitely been some times where a bus has gotten stuck. I've been on a bus that's gotten stuck before, but it only happened one time many years ago. So the maintenance is pretty good, and they have that rotation plan of knowing how long the shelf life is of the bus and making sure that we have procurement ready to get replacement buses out, so it's not a big problem.
On a different topic with the buses, some of my coworkers in, my other job, they are very concerned with safety. They time when they leave the office based on, bus availability and their safety their perception of, if I go this late, then I gotta deal with, unsafe conditions, threatening conditions. How is that being addressed?
Yep, so at these bus rapid transit stations and platforms, there are kind of enhanced lighting and security features. So there's cameras, there's push button. Metro Transit has text for safety features. But we do also, you're probably aware, Metro Transit has their own police force. We do partner with the municipalities' polices, so have already talked to Oakdale Police and the other municipality police departments throughout the corridor to plan. Metro Transit also has a very intensive safety and security action plan that includes not only, making changes within the police force, but also hiring non-police folks who can help be on the system, help folks navigate the system, and then also enhance cleanliness and safety. So there is a whole report on that, and we can share links with Max, and he could probably send those out to you as well. There's a lot of information in that plan.
Anything else? We good? Well, thank you so much. Great job. Looking forward to it.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Enjoy the night.
Thank you, you too.
Max, do you want to go into the business retention at this point? Or do you want to skip down to the Oakdale Development launch?
Yeah, we can launch into the business retention program update.
Okay.
So today we have the last program update for the first year of the city's business retention expansion and attraction program. Between now and our last meeting in May, we completed 3 new visits, wrapping up the 18 allocated visits for the first year of the program. And so we're working on the report right now. We just got our first draft of it, and we're reviewing it as staff before we bring it back to EDC. And we're excited to see how it shapes up and look at the recommendations and bring that forward with our council. And with that, we can talk a bit about the 3 visits that occurred between our last meeting and now. First up of these, we have Beers Tube. If anyone present on that would like to speak to how that one went?
Well, I was present for the beer stew one. It was, Jim was great to talk with, very positive about City of Oakdale and the longevity that he's had as far as a restaurant in town. He's looking forward to many more years with his family coming up through the ranks and maybe taking over for him. But I thought he was pretty positive in regards to everything. Andy, you were there.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you summarized it really well, and since I have the privilege of Kim O'Brien's notes from the meeting, I can just add a few other, a few other things as far as, city, chamber, business relationship going forward. It sounds like they're doing pretty well. Business is up. Where's I going to go with this one? So employers keeping people hired has been difficult in the restaurant industry. That's been a theme we've heard, and in any way that assistance could be provided in that would be helpful. Their spot there, they're pretty well locked in right now with expansion unless a tenant comes open up on one side or the other, and that may be an opportunity. They've looked at doing some more of their patio out there, so we've talked about with them about that. They generate positive things to say about the city. We asked them about resources, anything out there we can do, and Jim was very open. Yeah, send us what you have. Biz recycling being one that is a kind of a low-hanging fruit for a lot of these businesses, where you can get these mini grants to install dishwashers or put bins in. So I think that's something that definitely made a connection with, and that's all.
What were the other ones?
Yeah, next up, we've got Crossroads Properties.
So that one we had as the business rep, Terry Furlong and Kim O'Brien. And I was there as well as with Mayor Zabel. So I can give that update.
Please.
All right. So Crossroads Property, founded in '89, located in Oakdale. So they're a property management leasing company. And they've got 23 buildings and over 770,000 square feet in Oakdale, Woodbury, Burnsville, Lake Elmo. So they kind of specialize in this niche market of like anywhere from like a single office space up to like 10,000. So a lot of like new businesses, business incubators occupy their space. And it sounds like they're doing pretty good. Occupancy is up. They're continuing to grow and expand. It is a family-owned business with Amy Johnson as the president and David Johnson as the CEO. And a couple of the feedback they have, they do employ 11 people full-time, but then another 15 to 16 sort of contract employees for the property management part. They said the same thing about hiring. They've had a couple challenges in the skilled labor positions, like a facility manager or people on their executive team, just being able to recruit. We did talk to them a little bit about the Gold Line project because they're pretty close to that Helmo station. And they seem really positive about its ability to benefit some of their tenants. For example, they have a couple manufacturers that their workforce base is on the east side of St. Paul, and see this natural connection to be able to get workers out there. We talked about business resources that are out there and are available, and I think one of the key takeaways was Crossroads as a company probably not the target market, but all their tenants they have in the buildings could really benefit from these connections. And there's a couple unique ones, like a Hmong-owned business. See if I remember the name of it in this sheet here. Anyways, they're Tiger Tough. They're out of one of their Crossroads properties, and one of the connections points was Kim, making the connection with the Hmong Chamber of Commerce, which is part of the umbrella of St. Paul Area Chamber of Commerce. So, kind of good connections like that came out of the meeting, and the idea of maybe next time we go back, we'll try to meet with some of the individual individual tenants that are occupying these space. And that's the summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone? No, well done. Shall we go right to the Tanner's Lake redevelopment then?
We got one more.
One more.
Yeah.
Twin Cities are there.
Twin Cities Hardware.
Oh, did you go to that one?
Yep, so that was 5th of May. I was at that one, Mayor Zabel, and then Kim O'Brien from the chamber. We met with, so it's a family-owned business again. We met with the president and the co-owner, vice president, and their CFO, and it was just a really great experience to both meet with them and get a tour of their facility. It's pretty incredible. The business itself started in 1883, and the family bought it in 54 and used to be over on University and Pryor Avenue, and they moved to Oakdale in 99, and have added on in 2004 and added on in 2019, and they basically specialize in commercial door hardware and security systems. So anything that has to do with the door, but nothing beyond on the door, and it's quite a niche, and they've grown it to like one of the 3 biggest manufacturers in the country. We asked them too about what's kind of been changing in their industry, and advancements in technology and automation have been growing, and they've also been struggling with getting workers. So, a lot of what they're looking at is purchasing some sophisticated equipment that can, like key making, can make 100 keys at once versus one person doing it individually. Sounds like they're doing well. They're still growing. They're pretty bullish on the economy. Their orders are still 6 to 9 months out. They don't really have any more room to expand their building footprint right there in Oakdale. They have another facility in New Hope that they may look at some expansion there, or leasing some additional space in Oakdale, but nothing really imminent. We did talk about some of the resources out there for grant programs. They'd probably be a really good partner for some of the things that DEED is offering for automation or job skill programs. So that's definitely probably a touch point into the future. They talked about, they partner right now with St. Paul College and their welding program to get students in, and they were interested as well with Tartan High School, and we were able to kind of, as a follow-up, make that connection with Melissa over there and their workforce rep. And then as far as things to say about, Oakdale, they really liked the location. They had positive things to say about police and fire, which is a common theme. They did have some incidents with catalytic converters when that's been going up region-wide, thefts, and they've done some upgrades to their parking lot lighting in some areas that aren't very, that don't have a lot of public eyes on the streets there. So they've been doing that. We also relayed that to our police department about that concern as well. But generally another really good business in town that's doing a lot of great things, manufacturing within Oakdale. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
That's a business that I can see benefit from city and city hall going out and thanking them for the business. That was a good get by Kim, I think, for that business. Yeah. Any questions? Well done. Do we want to go to Tanner's now?
Yeah, we can move right on over to that. So we've just got a brief update tonight on Tanner's. In the last Tanner's update, there were at the time 3 developers interested in pursuing development. Since then, 1 withdrew, and 2 submitted initial proposals to the city, which were presented to the City Council on June 27th at the City Council workshop meeting. The initial proposal plans and conceptual ideas for that are available in the workshop packet for the June 27th meeting, if anyone is interested in looking. These 2 proposals, labeled A and B, staff felt both were great. Proposal A was primarily multifamily with 2 apartment buildings and a public dock with kayak and paddleboard rentals. Proposal B was a mix of one apartment building as well as townhomes along the water, a public pavilion, concessions, a boat dock, and boat rentals. Ultimately, the council expressed support for Proposal B for its mix of density, its multiple uses, and many public amenities. And right now, we're in the process of hoping to work for an exclusive rights agreement, and then later, we'll pursue a redevelopment contract. And following that, a refined concept plan will be developed and shared with the EDC directly at a future meeting. So I can answer any questions about Tanner's Lake that anyone might have, or we can move on.
What kind of timeline are you talking about?
So the next step is what for Plan B?
Sure. So for Plan B, we are in the process right now. If you look in the packet on the Tanner's Lake item, we do have a helpful handout. I believe this was also presented at a previous meeting with the different stages of the redevelopment process, since it can be fairly complex. We've already completed the initial concept plan, so we're working on an exclusive rights agreement, which essentially says that the city will work exclusively with the developer, and the developer will do their due diligence to pursue the project and improve the concept plan. Eventually, I would say in the next several months, we'll work on the redevelopment contract, which has more specific information in how both parties are going to move forward with the development. Eventually, we'll reach a final agreement, in which case the standard process of approvals will begin.
Okay,
So there's no solidified timing is the answer.
yeah.
They're still in proposal process.
Yeah, the redevelopment process can be ebb and flow, and it's a bit hard to predict, but we really like the direction this one is going.
Well, I do like the idea that it'd be utilizing Tanner's Lake a little bit for boat rental or whatever they're gonna see. Just don't eat the fish. All right, any other questions about Tanner's Lake? Okay. Shall we move on to the City of Oakdale Development Map launch?
Sure thing. So tonight I want to introduce and ask for input on the city's new development map. Throughout the BRIA visits, as well as various other public engagement efforts, among other studies and projects that the city has done, we've consistently heard that residents and business owners are interested in being able to keep up with some of the new projects and developments in Oakdale. So using this input, we sought to create a new, easy-to-use web-based development map, which offers details on different new projects in Oakdale. The link is in the packet, and I'll also be showing it on screen in a moment. And with that, I'm hoping to provide a quick demo and solicit any feedback that you feel might make the map easier to use, more informative, or just general thoughts and takeaways. And this is a relatively new launch. We put it up a few weeks ago, and we are still at a point where we can add new features and change things. There are some limits to that in the graphic elements that we can't change everything, but if there's more information anyone would want to add or anything along those lines, it's very likely that we would be able to change it. So with that, I will put it up on the screen. So we start here with a quick disclaimer, as this is an informational map, similar to any maps you might see on the county website. It's not to be used for any sort of survey work or anything. So we click the acknowledge, and we've been keeping this up to date fairly regularly. And as you can see, we've got a legend here on the left that shows projects that are under review, approved, under construction, and complete. And as we zoom in, more detail will show up on different projects, including all of the different Willowbrook developments. If you click on any of the points, it will bring up just a little bit of information to help understand what's happening there, as a name isn't always the most descriptive. So here we can see that Willowbrook 8th Edition is a single-family development that has been approved by the City Council and is being done by Lennar. We can see what day it was approved by the City Council, so we can go back and look up that packet and see more detailed information. how many units are being built, and if it's a commercial space, we can see that the number of square feet that's being built or added on. And this shows throughout the whole city, and it can kind of accumulate when there's pockets of heavy development. So if we click on AERC, for example, as a more commercial aspect, it'll display the commercial square footage as well as the developer and everything.
Max, let's go to Helmo and Stillwater Boulevard, please.
Yeah, forgive me, I'm looking up at the projector.
You're there. So
Yeah, did I get the right spot, Bill?
you did, but I don't show any, no icons or anything as far as where the work is. Okay. So we've got somebody at City Hall that's responsible to update this. Do they try and do it daily, weekly?
Yeah, so right now, I put this map together and I've been keeping it up to date. What I do is we aim for once or twice a month at minimum, but if someone asks or suggests something, I'll make sure to add it in as a suggestion. And we
Is there a
typically,
place anywhere on here where we can get your contact to say, hey, what's going on with the 17 manholes or whatever the issue would be?
you're thinking like a question feature?
Well, no,
or a-
just that you're not expected to be able to drive around the city every day. But yet if you've got someone who knows there's stuff going on that you don't have up here, we'd like to inform you.
I mean, like a crowd contribution?
Yeah, I think we could look into having our contact information on it. I don't think we have the crowdsourcing features available with our software package.
Right.
Right now, our current process is we have a weekly internal development review committee where we'll talk about each project that comes into the city as they come out. And once they hit certain thresholds, I will tend to add them onto the map, say, once an application is submitted formally, we'll put it under review and such.
Right.
Okay, so how do you get a hold of this? Is this on the city line, or what is it?
Yeah,
Where do you-
so we're early in the process, so there's a lot more promotion we could be doing. Right now, I have some links to it on our website under the economic development page, as well as in the packet for this. We've shared it on social media thus far, but we're absolutely open to new ways of getting access to it to make it easier or different forms of promotion.
So
We used to have a newspaper in Oakdale that you could look it up and everything is there.
So Max, is it on go ahead, Andy.
Just a point of clarification, it's just development projects, so there's another newsletter on like street projects and those sorts of things coming up. And Frank, if you want a paper copy, we can get you one of those as well too.
God,
And they'll mail it to you.
the world is passing me by, I'm telling you. Jeez.
I did see a post on Facebook the other day where someone had captured from the map, and there were comments on it about the development at the across from Target and
Oh, where they were saying like Aldi's was. gonna
yeah,
go
they were
in.
pretty
I saw
excited
that
because
too.
everyone wanted an Aldi to go in there. I don't know if that's been even
Yeah, I
discussed.
don't know if that's real thing or not.
So I know you want some input for this. So right now, to me, it's not current, because if you look at Helmo, I mean, right there, just south of Stillwater Boulevard, the whole road, well, not the whole road, but you got a big piece of it is, got cones and everything. And then you come over here off of Helmo and 15th, going east. There you go. And that might be, yeah, why don't you click on that and just tell me what it says?
Yeah, so here
It
we've
just
got,
talks about the school?
yep, so the recent construction on Eagle Point Elementary.
Okay.
Are you looking for road?
Yeah, you look at-
That's, he said, Andy just said there was another website for that.
I want them combined, Andy. This is constructive criticism, right?
There's some activity right north of Hy-Vee, is that on there?
As far as construction?
That's the
Like below there?
apartment.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that an apartment?
I think that's the new assisted living going in over there. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
there you go.
So there's our Oakdale Commons project, which is a senior multifamily project that we have a little bit of information up here for. It's going to be 168 units. And construction just recently started in the last few weeks.
Okay, now, where is this one again? This one by Hy-Vee?
Yep, just behind Hy-Vee north of it.
Right near the swamp.
That was Acorn property. That's been up for sale for about 300 years or so, hasn't it?
So you listed it?
I did not.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I sold it.
So if we go back to the location up by Target, does that mention anything up there yet?
See, we've got the
I see a
Oakdale,
blue dot there.
That's the new apartment building there.
Okay.
that's the Oakdale Marketplace Apartments, which are going to be 156 residential units.
That's on the Target side.
We're gonna need a bigger target.
Yes, it is.
And across,
Yeah, I'm looking for where that Panera is yet.
across the road to the north and forefront was where people on Facebook were talking about, nope, too far.
Past
So-
We're talking about
the
Aldi in
blue,
there.
Yellow,
Yeah.
Like a Starbucks, I think they were saying.
I
Yeah.
think they were just doing a poll, because
they?
there was a poll that said, would you shop at Aldi's if it was put at forefront initially? And then I think they took that and ran with it.
Is it just a random?
Then the
It was on the Oakdale Facebook
the map
group,
that I
but
saw
yeah.
on Facebook was not this then, because it showed an Aldi and a Starbucks.
And I think they may have, the post had a woman who proposed. She created a
Got it.
proposal for the city for an Aldi and then took a poll.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Not a city individual or employee, correct?
correct.
Yes.
It was on the Facebook group for Oakdale.
Okay. Max, what's the yellow over there, just to the left?
Yeah, so we have a warehouse going up in the forefront area. Right now, we don't have much information on the tenant, but it's being built. Actually, I need to fill in the square footage there because I believe it's quite significant. It's, I want to say 12,000 square feet or something along those lines. So that's going up in the area, and then we have a commercial property going up near it as well.
So the yellowish dot is near where the new road is that they just put in? Will it be to the west of that?
I believe so, yeah. We're using, the base map isn't quite as up-to-date in some
Yeah.
of the being built aspects of the city, but the city doesn't control the base map, and it gets updated every few months. That being what shows the roads and such.
Yep. Well, I think this is going to help to inform citizens as far as what's going on versus just rumors of Aldi's going in.
Right. I think this
Will
is
you have
great.
I think it's
This-
great
You guys
too.
did a nice job on this.
Will you have a contact box on the website?
Yeah, I can add a contact box. That's something we'd be able to do.
There you'll be able to have suggestions, when people see things, a way to communicate.
You know, it'd be interesting, like, you already, you see a line of health, and you see all the businesses there, the Speedway. I bet you they'd be thrilled where if you were to click on that, it goes to their website, which would be a warm fuzzy, I think, for the businesses. Once you're in there and you're looking, and just one more way to promote the businesses here in the city of Oakdale. I don't know what leaps and bounds you have to do to make that happen.
Yeah, we can bring it up with our supervisors and see if that's something we could go for, but
It's not the intent, but as long as you're on the map, you don't want to have to leave the map to go into their website, and then you can come back to it to look for other businesses too. Any other constructive criticism for Max that he can take?
I think it's a good idea to have a good information center, because I have more people asking me, what's this and where is that going and what's that building? And I have no idea. I mean,
Because you didn't get the paper.
The paper's gone. We have to write that one off. It's gone.
People also don't read very well because they'll ask the same question over and over on Facebook, and you'll see the city, you'll even see our mayor out there like, this is what's going in there, and then 2 days later, there's another post, what's going there? So there's also a lack of reading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
But it's important. People need to know. I mean, you drive around Oakdale, I mean, there's buildings going up like mushrooms, growing like mushrooms. And really, it's hard to keep track of.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, I think that's the exact aim we're going for, so I'm glad to hear that. And if anyone else comes up with additional comments, feel free to email me at a later date, and we can see if it's something we could add in.
Thank you, this is awesome.
I'm glad to hear it.
And Max, I don't think you're going to get overrun with emails, but just be prepared. You might get a few. Okay.
Can we maybe suggest that instead of like having everything in max contact information going out there, that if they have something to say, they come to a meeting?
I think you just did.
I will suggest that.
Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to the business development incentives handout review?
Sure thing. And I'll have that up on the screen as well, and it's also located at the back of your packets. So in an effort to better connect businesses with local resources and support, including our business retention program as one of the support resources, staff recently developed a new handout that details local and state programs that hope to support local businesses through loans, grants, and general supportive services. We plan to use this handout in future BRIA folders as we enter the next BRIA cycle and post to the city website and other venues when applicable. And yeah, so we prepared this document, and any input that the commission might have on the handout, the appearance, the different resources that are listed, or ideas for promotion, or what the best venue to host it at is appreciated.
This is also a very great document. Everything in one spot with all the links.
If it isn't already, I'd recommend you just do a front and back, so it's on one piece.
Yeah, part of that's just how the packet came out, but we do intend to have it on one sheet.
Yeah. And maybe saying on the very bottom, this is a majority of them. It's a fluid thing with the governments as far as what's out there, but it's a great start. And so there's always something coming up. Next week, somebody will have something else.
Oh, I think that's a great disclaimer to add. We're planning to update it every 3 months, but even in those 3-month periods, new things can come out or funding might end for something. So definitely a good idea.
And it's nice that you're taking the run for it and the championing this, so we've got all your contact information so we can ask you. And I know when we were on the BRIA visits, that this was, most of the businesses obviously didn't have a clue in regards to all of these different options that were out there, and nor should they. I mean, their heads are stuck into trying to run their business, and yet there's all these programs out there that some of them might work for them, in which they did too, so.
Maybe something like this could go out to new businesses when they apply for licenses or, establish in the community.
Good idea.
And Andy, maybe not this, obviously the chamber meeting is tomorrow. Maybe one of the next future chamber meetings, we could just get you guys for 5 minutes, just talking about these. I don't know if.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Chair, we can, I know I talked with Kim about doing like a highlight of the overall BRIA program and the results. We want to do that with you guys, this commission, as well as with council too. So either as part of that or a separate.
I think as part of that would be fine.
Yeah, or we could always, get it out there. And the chamber's really good about sharing posts if we did anything on social media to get it out there further too. So that's always an option.
You know, what I'd like to see is one of these programs that was utilized by one of the members, and have an example at the meeting of, hey, this is how it helped me. Might go a little bit further with it. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Anything else in regards to this? All right, Max, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So we're into the all other items. Shall we go, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, of course. We'll go right to the council liaison updates. We're gonna wrap it up with the commissioner updates. Okay? I don't want you sitting here longer than you need to.
Oh, I'll be here for the entire night, so don't you worry. Good evening, Chair and Commissioner. This is my second time in front of you, so forgive me if I'm a little nervous as I am presenting, but I do have 3 items that I do want to share with you guys that is coming out of the council, and just want to make it more informative and inclusive for the commission. And first off, I just want to let you guys know that we will be repealing the Oakdale First policy that the city of Oakdale has had. This is a policy where businesses that receive tax benefits from us through TIF or other financial assistance, tax abatement, that we ask that they hire first within Oakdale residents first. We just feel that in this day and age, in this market, labor is tough to find, and we wouldn't want to limit and control what our businesses can do to solve those difficult and challenging issues there. Second item, no surprise here with the newly legalized cannabis law happening in the state. We are putting a pause on any movement in regards to businesses, cannabis businesses being open in the city. We are wanting to wait to take the lead from the state first. And so once they have established their cannabis department and figured the state level rules, and once that is rolled out, then we will work towards aligning our policies around those rules. But that's the second item. Third item, the city is reviewing the calculation for franchise fees for utility companies, and there will be a change there will be a change to an across the board 3% franchise fee. Same for commercial and residential going forward. Some residents will likely see less charges, and some commercial businesses will likely see more charges. This proposed percentage fee will even out on a equitable calculations for all, but it's just really depending on use. There will be more information coming forth on all of these items in the upcoming council meeting packet, so I would encourage you guys all to refer there. I'll open it up for questions and comments.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the studies that other states have done on how much, or I guess in Minnesota as well, how much economic development those dispensaries and, kind of welcoming. I understand the state legislation piece of it and wanting to match with that so everyone is safe. But do you think by doing that, that's going to put us at a disadvantage? Should we ever want, or should there ever be a business that wants to set up here? I mean, I think it said, over $3.5 million in economic income that's coming from, where a dispensary comes up. And that's kind of, I don't know, just curious.
Yeah, great question there, Commissioner Aaron. It is the position of the council that we are not anti-cannabis businesses, but we just want to wait and see what the direction is coming out of the state before we go and make any rules. We wouldn't want to make a rule, create an expectation, and then have to repeal it after the state comes out with their rules. So our intention is to put the work up front one time, and if it means just pausing a little bit while the state figures out their position and their rules, we're willing to take that time to wait. So,
Got it. So
I wouldn't want to do something prematurely.
Right. Sorry, I was more looking at it from the economic impact standpoint of bringing $3 million into the city.
Absolutely.
That's where I was. So I was kind of. I should rephrase my question. Do you see that putting that in place is going to hinder that potentially, or put us behind? Just because I'm sorry, do you see sticker shock and you're like, wow, $3.5 million in the city. That's great. And that's where my question is coming from.
No, to address that, I think for good governance, being patient and making sure that, we act once and we're not having to repeal, even in place of foregoing some potential revenue generation ability there. So It's something that I can run by my council and raise that concern with them. But I think right now for us, we're wanting to wait and take the lead, even if it means foregoing that possible revenue.
Got
source
it.
of revenue
Makes
there.
sense.
Is
I understand.
staff or council following what neighboring cities are doing?
At our last workshop meeting, the staff we did direct staff to look into that, and so that, I'm not sure, the agenda hasn't come out just quite yet for the upcoming workshop meeting yet, but it is something that we had directed staff to look into, so we will be looking to other cities.
Does council have any concerns with on the flip side of not economic, but more of enforcement side of problems? Perhaps our police chief would have input on something like that, but what's council's viewpoint on that aspect?
I think the challenge is that at the state level, it has been approved, and it is not allowing the cities to prohibit it, not saying that we are wanting to do that. And so I think it's more of, hey, law enforcement, and we are rising to the occasion to address it. So I think it's going to be an experience that we're going to have to learn as we go and modify and take side steps.
Has the council discussed cannabis use in public spaces, parks? That type of-
Very entry level we have. That's another item that we've asked staff to go and help us get more information on. And we'll be discussing that at greater lengths at upcoming workshops.
Do you know if so the present businesses like Oakdale, have they requested the ability to be a dispensary or anything? Are they looking to do that?
We have not seen any interest yet, but we would be asking them to be patient with us, and under the state law, we are allowed to put a moratorium on it until the state figures out their piece, and so we intend to follow that same rule.
Any other questions?
I understand, the shopping center out in front of my business out there, we're between Duke's and where the Titan Bar used to be. I understand, is there somebody in there growing marijuana plants?
I don't know.
Disclose their locations.
What?
They don't disclose their growing locations for theft. The marijuana business, they won't disclose their locations. They keep it hidden.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I think there's a big medical marijuana growing location in Cottage Grove,
Okay.
but I've never heard of one out here. I think there's only a couple in the state right now.
Yeah.
I think it was a secret, I guess.
Well, apparently, yeah, but
Not anymore.
the wind blew my way and I heard about it, so.
Went over to Taco Bell and, okay.
I mean, I don't know, this guy, well, it's a long story. That's all right. I don't see activity there, but he approached me, the guy who owns it, about.
Is it something we should have Nick look into? Or?
He'd have to go through the city if he were gonna start growing marijuana.
Correct. So as it stands right now, we're looking to put a moratorium onto cannabis business. And so that would pause any licensing, any, approval, zoning of that sort until we get more and clearer direction from the state. And so anyone who would be looking to do that outside of the city would be in violation of current laws.
Okay. I'll check into it a little bit more. I gotta see a little bit.
Have we heard, well, I can wait for the development department on that question, so we're good. Anything else? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys.
Really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good night.
You too. Andy, how about if we go to the community development department update? Is that all right?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just two quick updates, projects that the city's been working on that have come before you before. One is the bike and pedestrian plan update that we've had a plan since '95, and the update started. It was put on hold during COVID. It is now a near final draft that's going to go out for public comment within the next few weeks. So we'll make sure to send you a link for that when that's available. And then the Glenbrook study, which was also an agenda item here in a previous meeting, that one's getting closer as well. Probably in September, we'll have a draft and we can share that with EDC as well. So those two studies are buttoning up and pretty nice, and thank everybody for your input on those to make them, great documents for the city. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So Frank brought up that location where we don't know what's going on. So is there any development, Frank, do you know of what's going on with that old,
The building?
that old mill, yeah, that old mall over there?
No, I have no, that was one of my questions I was gonna ask you. What is going on, that Titan's gone? And, they got all their furniture sitting out in the back door, waiting to be picked up. They pulled all their signs down and all that, so it's all gone. And I don't,
Is there any business going in there right now?
no, no, it's really a dump. That whole thing is a dump and it should be destroyed, and I'm just asking what's the city, where's the city standing on that?
Yeah, and the city did have a developer interested in doing an apartment project on that site. One of the things as they were having discussions with council was there isn't really a good plan for that area. Right now, it's zoned for commercial. But as we've seen, post-COVID with the online shopping, there's a lot of commercial in that stretch of area on Geneva and 10th and 12th. And, what's the appropriate mix of commercial, and maybe residential is the right fit. There's also a lot of high-density residential in that area too, to the east. So one of the direction that that proposal really wasn't the right fit for this point in time. The direction staff received from council was to look to do like a redevelopment study of that area, to kind of look at, kind of like we did for Glenbrook, but like at a smaller scale, to see what the best long-term plan is and take a look at the market conditions. So next step is really the city's end to kind of figure out what we'd like to see there, and then work with the property owner and potential developers to implement that vision.
Are you working with the property owner? Is he amicable at all?
We worked through him through the developer at the last project. I haven't reached out as of late. I think the ball's kind of in the city court right now to figure out what we'd like to see there as a city, and then we would go back and approach him as part of that.
With the, up on the forefront area up there, they've got the new road going in, and that looks really nice. Do you know of any other plans for anything that they know of that's going in along that north side of 5?
So they have that approval to do commercial between High Point, and then there's that new roadway that's going into the west of there that's going to serve primarily that warehouse for truck entrance. So in that, I think it's something along 30,000 square feet of commercial. Max probably has the numbers on his map exactly, but nothing official has came in yet as far as users. I'll just say the National Grocer has been one of the concepts that could go there, coffee shop, bank, but we don't have anything officially to share yet because we haven't gotten an application, but I would expect to see something soon. Generally, what we're hearing from developers, both the forefront sites and then to the south at Oakdale Apartments, all the development happening with Willowbrook and the new rooftops coming in, and then Lake Elmo to the east, and the housing that's going in there is making this area of Oakdale, where it's been a long time coming to build out that commercial, much more attractive. So been seeing a lot of interest, but nothing really substantial to report right today.
To the east of Target over there, is that still planned to be some sort of a warehouse?
Yes, so east of Target and Lake Elmo, I believe they still have it planned for, office or warehouse type facilities. I'm not sure where they're at with you know, they've had a couple different RFPs and proposals there, but not sure where they're currently at with that.
Any other questions? Now's the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Well, let's move it on to the commissioner updates. We'll start to my right. Bob, have you got anything?
No, I don't.
And I'll go Bob again.
I'll be at the Washington County Parks booth at the fair on Friday night, so if you're out there, stop by and say hello.
Now, why do you get to be at the Washington County?
I am on the Washington County Parks Commission.
Well, that would explain it.
Stop out and say hi if you're out.
Great. Let's see. And Jeff?
I have only the event tonight next door in the, by the band shell, the Everett Smithson Band is a blues band, and they'll be performing at 7 o'clock. Assuming that we don't get lightning and stormed out, because I think there's a storm cell about ready to go over the top of us.
It's not going to work for me. We'll keep going. Stacy?
Carol Matthews is having their annual family picnic on Friday night. It's a free community event, and we're having a petting zoo and a bounce house and food and fire truck and police officers, so it'll be a fun night. So people can come out and join us.
And the police officers are there for the right reason.
They are, just
Yeah.
to, yeah.
It's not that Frank will be there or anything.
So.
Well, great. Sounds like fun. Aaron?
Just a shout out to those Oakdale residents who banded together and made Summerfest happen this year. That was fabulous. Yeah, got to volunteer with that as well. So thanks to those individuals.
And Frank?
I have nothing to report.
Wow. Okay. Well, tomorrow afternoon, 11:30 is the chamber meeting, and we're holding it over at the Lake Elmo Event Center. Mark Cove, I know, is running it, and we're going to be discussing hot topics that have come from the state in regards to new laws, new things that have come down for small businesses that we should know. So if you're interested, please get a hold of me. We'll get you in the door. Other than that, yes, it does look like there's a storm off to our west. Yeah. Max, I think that's about it for the night. Anything else?
I have nothing to add. Thank you, Chair.
All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
Well, I motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And not? Okay. Motion passes. Thanks for coming.